All right, let's talk about one of the most incredible, life-saving pieces of tech out there, the mechanical ventilator. You've probably heard the term a lot, but what does it actually do? Well, that's what we're going to demystify today. So, to really get what a ventilator does, we first have to understand the problem it's designed to fix. And it all starts with a crisis. When our body's most basic, most urgent function just stops working. I mean, it's a scary question, right? What really happens when you can't breathe? For so many people, this isn't just a thought experiment. It's a real medical emergency. So let's look at what's going on inside the body when that automatic, simple, active breathing just isn't possible anymore. Okay, so look at this. On one side, you've got normal breathing. We don't even think about it, right? It's just automatic. But on the other side, that's respiratory failure. And it's a whole different story. The body is literally in a fight for its life. Oxygen levels are crashing, and at the same time, this waste gas, carbon dioxide, starts building up. It becomes toxic. The whole system is being poisoned from the inside out. And you gotta understand, this isn't just about feeling out of breath. This is a complete catastrophic failure of the body's core mission. The whole system for getting fuel, oxygen in, and getting waste, carbon dioxide out, has just broken down. It is without a doubt a life or death situation. So when everything is failing, how do we turn things around? That's where this incredible machine comes in. Think of it really as an external set of lungs, ready to step in and take over. And here's something that's really, really important to get. The ventilator itself doesn't heal you. It doesn't cure pneumonia or fix injured lungs. What it does is buy time. It's a bridge. It takes over the incredibly hard work of breathing so that your body can use all its energy to fight off whatever's wrong and hopefully start to heal on its own. For all its beeps and whistles and complexity, what the ventilator is trying to do is actually super simple. It has two and only two critical jobs. Job number one, get oxygen to every single part of the body. And job number two, take out the trash, which means getting all that toxic carbon dioxide out of the blood. That's it. That's the mission. Okay, so how does it actually work? I mean, it's not just a fancy pump pushing air, right? No way. It's much more sophisticated. It's really about engineering the perfect breath for lungs that are sick and struggling. Let's get into the mechanics. So one of the key settings is something called tidal volume. Think of it this way. How big is each breath the machine delivers? Well, it's not some huge gust of air. Actually, for most people, it's about the volume of a can of soda. It's this incredibly precise amount calculated just for that patient to make sure it's helpful and doesn't cause more damage. Okay, now this next part is genius. It's a setting called PEEP. The best way to think about it is with a balloon. You know how the first puff to inflate a brand new balloon is the hardest? Well, the tiny little air sacs in your lungs are like millions of tiny balloons. PEEP is like not letting all the air out of the balloon after each breath. It leaves just a tiny bit of pressure in there so they don't completely collapse. This makes the next breath way easier and protects them from damage. So you put those two things together and you get this rhythm. First, the machine gives a gentle, perfectly measured breath of oxygen-rich air. Then that PEEP we just talked about keeps those little air sacs from collapsing. And then, and this is key, the machine just stops. It lets the body's own natural springiness push the air and the carbon dioxide back out. It's this really elegant, supportive dance between the patient and the machine. But, and this is a really big but, this is not a risk-free solution. Not at all. Using a ventilator to save a life is a constant tightrope walk. It's this incredibly delicate balancing act that the ICU team has to manage every single second. And you can see that dilemma right here. On one hand, you need to push air into sick, stiff lungs to save someone, but that very pressure can actually damage those same lungs. You need a breathing tube to get oxygen in, but that tube can become a highway for infection. You need to let the breathing muscles rest so the body can heal, but if they rest for too long, they get weak. It's a constant trade-off. And this quote from an ICU doc really says it all. Every setting, every alarm, every second is a decision. They are constantly weighing the options, trying to support life without accidentally harming the very organs they're fighting to save. I mean, just think about that pressure. Okay, so let's talk about the end game, because the goal, from the absolute first minute, is to get this machine out of the picture. The whole point is to get the patient back to breathing on their own. This is the journey back to breathing fresh air. And the term they use for this is weaning, which is just the perfect word, because it's not like you just flip a switch and you're done. No, it's the slow, careful handover. The machine starts to do a little less, and the patient's body has to do a little more, step by step, until they're strong enough to do it all themselves.
So, how does that path actually look? Well, first, the thing that made the patient sick in the first place has to start getting better. Then, the doctors start dialing back the ventilator's support, bit by bit. The next big step is something called a spontaneous breathing trial. It's basically a test drive to see if the patient's lungs and muscles are ready. And if they pass that test, then comes the moment everyone's been waiting for. The breathing tube comes out. It's a huge, huge milestone.
So when you think about it, the mechanical ventilator is so much more than a machine. It's a bridge that connects a person on the edge of death back to life. It's just an amazing piece of engineering helping us with our most fundamental need. Which really makes you wonder, right? As this tech gets even smarter, more intuitive, what's next? What will the future of saving a life even look like?